Some big decisions have already taken place at Manchester United behind the scenes, and we're going to talk about what they are, what it might mean, and what's expected to happen. Manchester United could be integrating some players into the squad next season if we get European football. This includes the likes of Vitek and Harry Amas. Elliot Anderson is on his way to Manchester, but which club? David Ornstein breaks down Man United's plan. Rich Fay also breaks down Man United's plan, says that Man United could break a transfer record. And yeah, lots of other stories coming out, like Kone deal to Lausanne is done. He's going out on loan. There's manager talk about Carrick and the kind of manager Manchester United want. And of course, Marcus Rashford. There's rumours that if Carrick was to get the job, he would recall Marcus Rashford. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Marcus Rashford's head is at Barcelona, not at Manchester United. And as much as I like and rate Marcus Rashford, if his head is not at Manchester United, you don't want him at Manchester United. You know, Rashford, a big part of him is his mentality, where his head's at. And if his head's at Barcelona, I think it's best to let him stay at Barcelona. But I am a big fan of Rashford. But let's talk about all the latest Manchester United news. Let's round it up in 10 minutes for you guys. Boom. There is a chance United could integrate Lone Stars Rada Vitek and Harry Amas into the first team fold for next season to boost their squad options. Through that decision will be made although that decision will be made by their permanent head coach. Now, the way I look at it is if we're in the Champions League or Europa League or in Europe next season, I think we might need them for depth. I mean, Luke Shaw stayed fit like crazy this season, but who knows with Luke Shaw? We don't know if Dorga's going to become a winger or a left back. I think Harry Amas is good to have. And no, I think Vitek is better than Bayendir, and there'll be a lot more games. So I think for depth, I'm very open to these two guys staying with the team next season for depth. But I think if we weren't in Europe, then I would lower them out again. I think Harry Amas, sadly he's got injured, but he was fantastic. And Vitek, I know he had a bit of a bad game the other day, but he again has been fantastic for Bristol. And they've been two really successful loanies on the Championship. And I think for me, if we're in Europe next season and we don't have a very thick squad, because right now the squad we currently have is nowhere near thick enough to deal with Europe, but it's fine because we have one game a week. But if we do go in Europe next season and have a thick squad, we don't have a thick squad, I think we would likely need the likes of Vitek and Amas. Vitek, I think I would just bring him in for Bayendir and have him and Le Mans compete. Amas, it really depends because we've got Diego Leon, we've got Luke Shaw, we've got Dorgu, we might sign a left back. I think it depends on numerous things. Managerial and Delo can play left back, Leachy can play left back. I think it depends. I think Man United need to sign 2 elite midfielders, 1 third midfielder for depth, a top level left winger, and I think depending on if they get a left back or a centre back, it will see. But 2 really good players, 2 really good young players, 2 players that could have a good future at Manchester United. But I think, look, Europa League would be maybe quite good for them. But let's see. So there's now reports coming out that Elliot Anderson is on his way to Manchester in the summer. Anderson is wanted by both City and United, but which side he goes to is not determined yet. Now, I think Elliot Anderson is going to go to Manchester City. Elliot Anderson will go to one of the Manchester clubs, it's been said. I think he will go to Manchester City. He's kind of been flirting with them, following them online, and it's believed his preference is Man City. However, with Manchester City maybe set to have a second trophyless season starting to fall off, with Pep expected to leave, could that put Anderson off? I think if Manchester City don't have a good season this year, Pep leaves and we get Champions League football, we have a chance. I think it depends what manager we bring in, if we get Champions League football, and if Pep leaves City. And I think if all 3 of those things happen, a good manager, Champions League football, and Pep leaves City, and City fall off the season and don't win the league, I think we can get Elliot Anderson. But his preference is City because it's a more stable club to go to than Man United. But Man United is a bigger club. So we have to wait and see what happens with Elliot Anderson. I really hope we get him. Elliot Anderson is my number 1 transfer priority target. I think we missed out on Declan Rice those years ago. We cannot miss out on Elliot Anderson. He is heading to Manchester. It could be expensive, but we don't know what Manchester club he's heading to. And as I said, United's next big decision is quietly taking shape. And David Ornstein reveals what are we planning on doing behind the scenes. He said the summer window won't be crazy, but it's here to fix key issues. At centre mid, we were Anderson, Wharton, Baleba are the top priority. Casemiro's gone, we need to replace him. We also need another midfielder for depth. David Ornstein knows that United want to get 2 elite level midfielders to fix the problems. I think we might need a third midfielder for depth, if I'm going to be completely honest. Let's say we get Anderson and Baleba, maybe go for a Musakitas for depth or just someone younger. Left wing is also a focus. We've missed out on Semenyo, Rashford and Sancho expected to leave. Of course, Garnacho has already left. So it looks like it's going to be 2 elite midfielders and a left winger. They seem to be the decisions taking place. I think we probably need a third midfielder for depth. And then defence depends. If Maguire signs a new deal, I don't think we sign a centre-back. But United have not offered Maguire a new deal. I think Man United will offer Maguire a new deal at the end of the season on lower wages. I think with Maguire, Man United don't want to offer him a new deal because they think that's making him perform better, so he's fighting for that new deal. I think it depends if Maguire stays at centre-back. I think we're getting a left winger, 2 elite midfielders, potentially a third midfielder, potentially a centre-back and potentially a left-back. But again, that depends on the budget, who is sold, what happens with Maguire and more, and who obviously the next manager is. David Ornstein was asked about the head coach decision. He said Carrick or external will be one of the biggest 2026 stories. Early signs under Carrick have sparked hopes, but results will decide. My mindset is this. If Carrick does really well, and your options are Glasner, Carrick, and Iriola, I would stick with Carrick. If Carrick does really well and you've got Ancelotti and Tuchel looking at that job, I think you do have to look maybe towards Ancelotti and Tuchel, depending on that. However, you could say Carrick's been in the door longer, the team know Carrick. Ancelotti and that, they don't know, they couldn't come through after the World Cup. That's sort of my mindset on it. Don't make any decisions till May. If you're going to keep Carrick, at least interview other candidates, see who we can get, and try and make the best decision possible. Talking of decisions, Rich Fay also said a lot of similar things to David Ornstein today. He said we plan to sign 2 midfielders in the summer and that we're ready to potentially break the 89 million club record transfer. Anderson is the dream target, but Baleba and Wharton remain key alternatives. The preference is Prem proven. Anderson is the dream. We really want him. If we don't get him, we'll probably go for Baleba. There's confidence inside United that we will get Baleba. We'll also look at Wharton. We're ready to break the record, bringing 2 elite midfielders. He again said, like David Ornstein, we want a left winger. Garnacho's gone. Rashford's expected to go. We've been linked to Diomande. I don't personally think Diomande is ready to take that step up yet. I'd rather look at someone like an Iliman Ndiaye. I just don't think Diomande is quite good enough yet. I think the Prem is a ridiculous step up to where he was playing 2 years ago. And I just can't see that happening if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I do want to talk about more manager news in a second. But Sekou Kone's deal is done. Sekou Kone has joined Lausanne Sport on loan until the end of the season. So done deal. I wish him the best. I hope he goes and smashes it on loan. I think there's a great midfield talent here, and I think this could potentially be one for the future, but I think with the young players, we don't want to put them under too much pressure or rush them in, but I think he's definitely a very talented young midfielder, and I'd like to see him get some minutes in pre-season this year as well, which brings me on to the manager news. So ESPN have described the kind of manager that Manchester United want. It said that United are willing to wait for a World Cup manager and Tuchel, Poch, Ancelotti or Nagelsmann. I think Ancelotti and Tuchel are the best 2 names out of the people on that list. Nagelsmann, I think the way he plays is so different to what we're used to that it'd be like an Amorim where we'd need to spend a lot of money and a lot of adjustment, but I think he's a good manager. I think Pochettino, I don't know how he will deal with the egos, let's just say. Prem experience is also on the list, Iriola, Silva, Glasner. Out of Iriola, Silva, Glasner, I actually like Marco Silva the most out of those 3 because I look at how Fulham are playing compared to Bournemouth and compared to Palace. And actually, I think Silva is probably the best of those 3. But those names don't stand out to me. If Carrick does really well and those were the 3 names, I'd probably say stick with Carrick. Key requirements for Barada and Wilcox is able to handle pressure and teach players to coach with it. There's a belief that the role became too much for Amorim. He underestimated the amount of pressure he was going to be under, how big the club was. And one of the reasons Solskjaer did quite well is because he knows the club, he knows how to deal with the pressure. There's a feeling that Amorim kind of cracked. Amorim threatened to quit 3 or 4 times, which isn't a good look. Whether you agree with Amorim or not, the fact that your manager's threatened to quit and told the squad he's threatened to quit multiple times, you can't do that as a manager. And I think the pressure maybe was too much for Amorim, and United want someone they think they could handle the pressure. And the run of results under Carrick could make the conversation impossible to ignore. But United are not going to rush into any decision on Carrick. They're going to wait to the end of the season, see what happens. Look, if Carrick wins every game from now until the end of the season, he has to be under serious consideration. And last but not least, let's talk about Rashford. Rashford has a 26 million buy clause in his Barcelona loan, which is looking like a bargain. But yet again, Barcelona don't want to pay it. There's talk that Carrick might bring Rashford back because Amorim is gone. However, Marcus Rashford has no intention of returning to Man United from Barcelona this summer, and Rashford wants his long-term future resolved before the World Cup. I think Rashford will permanently end up at Barcelona, but I think we've got to pretend we're happy to take Rashford back to make sure Barcelona actually pay up and stop taking the mick. But I think Rashford's head's at Barca. He doesn't want to come back. And I think that should be done and should be resolved. But Barcelona are definitely going to play us around a bit there. But I don't see Rashford coming back. I think Ineos don't want him back because of his wages. Ineos supported Amrin in kicking him out. Anyway, thank you for watching today's 10-minute roundup. I will be back tonight with a video. See you next time. Bye.